How's it going? Galore Wrestling Figures here. Welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about For the Love of Wrestling 2026, Europe's biggest professional wrestling convention. Now, I want to apologise in advance because I wasn't going to be filming at all. I got some footage, so I thought, you know what, why not make a video of it? So there is going to be quite a bit of voiceover in today's video. However, in the words of Manchester's very own Liam Gallagher, you've just got to roll with it. So, let's get to the BEC. So, of course, we're at the BEC arena now with none other than Jimmy Wrestling and AJWF. Queues galore, honestly, so many queues. Of course, once you're into the venue, you will see everything. It is set out the same as previous years, however, it's always cool just to get in and fully experience the everything. As soon as we got in, me and James, Jimmy Wrestling, we decided to go and start queuing for Saraya. However, before that, I wanted to get a picture with this John Cena sort of standee, because I did miss it when I went to Liverpool and met John Cena, so finally glad to get a picture with this, but off to the queue to meet Saraya. Now, the queue was very long, but while we was in the queue, we did get around, me and AJ, to getting a picture with the Dynamite doll herself, and Lana Austin and Holly Barlow. All three of these great to talk to, and while we was queuing, gave us something to do. But after all the queuing, we finally met Saraya. Me and Jimmy, always been a fan of her. I think she had a good run in AEW, amazing run in WWE, and the main bit for me, she acknowledged the attire. Of course, I went as MJF, so I appreciate her, and she was an honour to talk to. This was the only picture where I got a booth picture, so more of a professional picture, and it is framed, so I'm glad that I finally met her. Now, after meeting her, I decided to have a quick look around the figures and merch. Now, I made a rule with myself that I wouldn't be buying any figures, so I didn't buy any, but I still had a look. Of course, Rock and Roll Collectibles were here. Big shout out to them. I've bought a lot of them over the years. But also there's a lot of other traders here who I knew. But overall, a lot of really good figures and merch on display. And of course, if you do get a bit confused, there is a big map above Rock and Roll's collectibles stand, so you can't really get lost. One thing that was tempting was this CM Punk Elite, £100. It was very tempting, but ultimately I didn't end up getting it, and I do kind of already regret it. However, it's time to go and meet some stars. Now, kicking it off with the stars, first star that I met was Chrissy Hemme. I was a big fan of her work in TNA, and she didn't have a queue, and I booked a ticket, so I thought, why not meet her? And, of course, this is what a normal table picture looks like. Not as professional, but at least you get a proper conversation with the star. Next up, I decided to meet Shotzi. She was amazing to talk to, and, she comes across as an amazing talent, but also an amazing person. So I'm glad that I could finally meet her. And I did book some of these in advance, and Shotzi was one of them. She did have a bit of a queue, but you could tell that each person that was meeting her, of course, Shotzi did give the time and day to talk to them. So I greatly appreciate that. And I'm glad that I could meet her. I think she was only about £30, something like that to meet, which is relatively priced. Next up, we decided to meet Orange Cassidy, another one that I booked. He was amazing. Of course, he did stay in character. Nice little picture here, and I've always been a fan of his work, so I thought, why not get a picture? And it was quite cheap as well, so big up Orange Cassidy. After this, me and AJ went for a bit of a walk, and we did bump into Guy, who happens to be a John Cena cosplayer. The only thing is, you can't see him. He's a great guy. He puts a lot of effort into all of his outfits, and big shout out to him because he's always happy to get pictures with everyone. And of course, I did have to get a picture with him, and in typical MJF fashion, I did have to flip him off. But he's a great guy, so you might see him around. And of course, we did bump into a Trish Stratus cosplayer as well. Her outfit was amazing, of course, inspired by Trish Stratus. And along the way, I did lose AJ, but I decided to meet Swerve Strickland. Great guy, gave me some great advice. And he was only about £40 to me, and he had no queue. So I thought, why not meet him? And if you haven't met him yet, and you get the chance to, I definitely recommend meeting him, because amazing talent and amazing guy. And just after this, I did bump into Kev, who, if you can't tell, he is a Cody Rhodes cosplayer. He puts a lot of effort into his outfit, so once again, big shout out to him. I know he's here most years, and he's quite easy to spot as well because, of course, his attires, so big shout out to him. Of course, next we decided to meet Darby Allin, and Saraya was having her in-ring Q&A. However, the line for Darby was really long. I was in it for about an hour. But eventually, we did get round to meeting him. But of course, yeah, the line was very long. However, Darby Allin, he was a true gent, honestly. Incredible to meet. Had quite a bit of a long interaction as well. And now that's the thing I like about Darby and a lot of other talent. Despite there being a lot of queues, they do go out of the way to talk to you. So I'm glad that I've met Darby Allin. Now, one person that was quiet for pretty much the whole day was Frankie Kazarian. I've always been a big fan of him, so I thought, why not get a picture with him? I think it was only about £20 as well. And in all honesty, that is a bargain. For Frankie Kazarian, he's a legend. So I thought, why not get a quick picture with him? Of course, as well, we did have to meet Bobby Lashley, who is a big unit in person. Now, I've always been a big Bobby Lashley fan. I know some people aren't fans of him, some people are. I've always been a big fan of him, and I've always been a big fan of his work as well, especially what he did with MJF, so glad that I could meet him. Now, after this as well, we did meet Samoa Joe, and if you can't tell from the pictures, I was quite happy to meet Samoa Joe, I'm not going to lie to you. I've always been a big Samoa Joe fan, and especially his match he had with Punk as well in AEW, his last match, or just all of his matches that he had with Punk. I've always been a fan of him, so I thought, why not get a picture with him? So big shout out to Samoa Joe, who's kind as well. Dustin Rhodes, honour to meet. Always been a fan of him. Not really watched too much of his stuff, however, it's Dustin Rhodes, he's a legend. As well, we did get around to meeting The Inspiration. And these two, incredible to meet, both nice women, and I'm glad that I could meet them. The final two guests that I met were Scarlett. Now, everyone over the Saturday was nice, however, Scarlett, Shotzi, and the next person I'm about to show you, all three of these, they were incredibly nice, and they gave me a lot of advice as well, so big thank you for that. And now I did book Scarlett in advance, and it was an honour to meet her, and of course, the other person that I did meet, Karrion Kross, you know, amazing guy. Hopefully, maybe he returns back to WWE, we'll have to see. However, he did go out of his way to talk to me at the end of the day as well, so big thank you to Karrion Kross, honestly, as well. I know that the picture with Scarlett as well did make Karrion Kross's Instagram, so I'm glad of that. But honestly, incredible talent and amazing guy, same with Scarlett. It was the end of the day, and of course we had to get our annual group picture. Of course, me, AJWF, Jimmy Wrestling, and Jordan 95 Wrestling. Now, the day was very busy, and there was a lot of queues, so we didn't really see each other much. However, big shout out to all these guys. These are honestly amazing friends and amazing people to talk to on a daily basis. So I appreciate every single one of them. Now, Sean, who is in our group as well, he left the event early. So unfortunately, we didn't get him in the picture. However, I did talk to him throughout the day. He's an incredible guy, but it's such a shame he couldn't be in the picture. And that is a wrap on For the Love of Wrestling 2026. Now, I apologise if the video was a bit short, if there wasn't a lot of footage. However, I think I've done alright, considering I didn't really take any pictures or videos. Now, overall, the event, it was amazing. Incredible to meet up with everyone. And my only gripe from the event is that it was a bit too busy. Maybe they can next year, change something differently. However, overall, apart from that, it was incredible, and I'm glad that I've met all the talents that I've met now. And honestly, the event, it's all about memories, and I've created some amazing memories from that event. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.